Welcome to the Open Rewards prayer meeting tonight on this 10th day of June in the year 2020. In the era of the Great Tribulation and the season of the coronavirus. It's a privilege to be able to be with you tonight. My prayer is that all of us will survive the coronavirus, the earthquakes and wars, the tribulation as it is outlined by Jesus in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24. Tonight, in the prayer meeting, I want to say some words, statement-wise, that I believe represents answered prayer regarding God's Word, His work in my life over the past 12 years now, but more acutely over the past 40 years, if you will. And I've given a label to tonight's talk as change for the worst has come today. The Chambers Brothers had a very powerful song between 1967 and 1970 and an album called Time. And the most powerful piece out of that selection of music by the extraordinarily talented Chambers Brothers was Time Has Come Today. What I want to express now is that change has come today. You see over the past, this being day 15th of all the marches across most major cities in America, with tens of thousands of young people in the streets, resultant of George Floyd being lynched in Minneapolis, Minnesota, going on a couple of weeks ago now. And that has sparked if you will, a call for change in America, reform of the way police officers are dealt with, a change in racial tensions in America. And it has mushroomed into perhaps some of the largest, most auspicious, if you will, protests consistently and continuously in the history of protesting in America. And so we wanted to make note of the one cry that we hear responded to the lynching of George Floyd that these young people are calling for, is they're calling for change. And I'd like to remind them that this is not an old, new cry that they're crying for, and I wish to also quickly inform them that they're going to get a change, but it's going to be worse. Now, before you disengage, you remember 12 years and some months ago, Barack Hussein Obama, in fact, 13 years ago, started a campaign out in Illinois as a U.S. Senator running for the President of the United States of America. And his slogan was, change that we can believe in. And it was a powerful mantra that was accepted, and it was repeated, and it was rehearsed, and it was printed, it was all over everywhere. Change, change, change is what Obama's campaign was 13, 14 years ago. I think I want to express to everyone as well who see what these young people are doing by their continuous marching across the major cities and some smaller venues in America and then across the planet in Europe and in Paris and in France or in Germany or in England and in Spain and some other, and even in New Zealand. I want to remind you, as impressive as these marches seem, as dense and immense as it seems that the number of participants in this particular march as they are calling for change. And let me parenthetically point out that these people that are marching don't care anything about George Floyd. That they don't care about him. That is not, however, it was George Floyd's death or lynching that has brought them to the streets. But I want to remind you, in case you have forgotten, that Obama ran on change as well. And then I'm going to tell you very sadly, but very poignantly, that he changed absolutely nothing. He brought no change, and he had the strongest bully pulpit that anybody can ever have in the annals of history, the White House presidency, and he did nothing with it. He did a couple of things, and I'll tell you about those. But let me remind you, in the event that you are overly impressed, and somehow or another, all these young people who many of them 13 years ago were still in knickers, or they were still with pigtails, or they were still in grade school, and somehow or another they think they've got a way and to deliver the rest of us a message about how the world should go. But Obama 13, 14 years ago had first come with change we can believe in. And so I want to share with you as well the immense crowds. I remember distinctively that when Obama went down to Columbia, South Carolina, and it was in the midst of the campaign, Hillary was still running strong in Jim Clyburn's territory down in South Carolina. And in Columbia, Obama was scheduled to meet in one of the largest venues, a hall that would hold, or a stadium that would hold 20,000 people there in Columbia, South Carolina. But Hillary was still running strong because she was the favorite, and Obama was an upstart out of Illinois. And of course, in order to be able to bring attention to Obama, Oprah Winfrey left her couch in Illinois and took a private jet down to Columbia and landed it and took center stage and told people, I will be on the stage endorsing Obama in Columbia, South Carolina. And that stadium in Columbia that housed 20,000 people could not contain all the people that wanted to get in. 20,000 were on the outside who wanted to get in to see Obama, and Oprah Winfrey locked horns together as the new black Messiah and the black Madonna. And the great whore of Babylon, as I've also stated. But not just that. Not just in case somehow or another you young people think out in the streets that y'all are very impressive and the news people are giving you all this uber coverage, I'll have you know that you pale in comparison to what Obama did, and maybe you were too young years ago to even remember these facts of what happened and all the venues where Obama went down. In Jay-Z down in Miami Gardens or Miami, Florida, Jay-Z appeared with Obama, and another 20,000 people showed up in an outdoor event there, and everywhere he went, the crowds were immense crowds in the 10s and 20s and 30,000. But that wasn't all. Obama traveled from America to Dusseldorf, Germany. I don't even know where it's at. I do pronounce it correctly though. And in Dusseldorf, Germany, there in Rhineland town, 250,000 Germans came to hear Obama and watch him strut out on that stage, because even Germany and even Europe had thrown their love and their support behind this young senator from Illinois that claimed to be an African American and that he was running for president. So I want to inform all of you young people in the streets now, you're not who you think you are, and you're not as impressive, and you have not caught up with what Obama. Now, I'm not here to praise Obama. I'm not here to bury him. Quite frankly, I'm here to resurrect many of you, if you'll allow me to have your ear for just a few moments longer, to give you some historical context about where we are. We are in the tribulation. That's where we are. And whatever change you are calling for, I want to remind you, someone a whole lot stronger than y'all marching in New York and Los Angeles and Washington and Atlanta and in Philadelphia and in Houston and in Dallas, that someone far stronger and a crowd and a group far more immense than you people out there in the streets now called for change, and they didn't get a damn thing. They didn't get nothing. They didn't get anything. They got nothing is what they got. They called for change too. So I'm here to inform you there is going to be a change, but the change is going to be for the worse. And though there's no denying it, that Obama was an uber failure of all failures. But I'm here also not to bury Obama. That's not my purpose, and I'm not here to rail against you. I just want to inform you, just in case somehow or another you think that y'all's marching in the street represents some sort of power and that some sort of change is going to come. It ain't coming. The only thing that's continuing to come is the prophecy that Jesus has spoken about, the tribulation. And so I'm here in many ways, to resurrect those of you who might want to hear me now, and it's painful, and as much as you want to reject this, because 13, 14 years ago, America was awash with people talking about change. The streets were awash with people marching and protesting. The stadiums were awash. The television tubes were awash with change we can believe in. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. That the world is going to be different. This police brutality, racial discrimination, poverty, early deaths, brokenness, unemployment of black people is getting ready to end with the first black president. Change has come today, is what the mantra was 13 years ago. And every voice lifted and said, so it be, shall be, except one. You're looking at me. I said, no, no, that's not going to happen. No one's going to be, Obama was not going to bring any change. There was nothing he ever said or did that would indicate that he was capable of bringing change, and more importantly, the only change we're going to ever see is from the power of Almighty God. I want to also state to you that Obama hails, at least in terms of his political career, from Chicago, Illinois. And the sad part about all of these people that would make those of y'all marching in Los Angeles, those of y'all marching in New York and in Washington, make y'all look like children's play, because America and the world was awash with Obama. But you know, they're talking about change. During the 8 years of presidency of Obama, now we're talking now, or at least the world is consumed with George Floyd. You know, they put that boy in a horse-drawn carriage yesterday. I mean, they only do that for presidents. Here's a man that you're going to find out when the trial happens that he might not be so honorable when you discover who he really was. But I'll leave that to the trial and the defense lawyers to issue their information of discovery. But I'll have to tell you this, that if you think that Black Lives Matter and somehow or another you should be marching, can I tell you that 3,917 young black people were killed in Chicago, Illinois, black on black crime, and there was not one march to mourn the death. And some of those deaths were grievous. One was a 3-year-old, I think, in the backseat of their mother's car coming out of Cabrini houses or something of that nature. And the other was a beautiful young girl that was playing in the park. A beautiful young girl, 15 years old, shot by a stray bullet. Not one march! Not one march by Black Lives. Black Lives didn't matter. Nearly 4,000 young people that are all black, nappy-head, were killed in Chicago during Obama's presidency in the midst of all this change, and not one march. Not one march, not one march led by Obama, not one march led by Sharpton, not one march led by Ben Crump, not one march led by Ben Jealous, not one march was made to honor the brutal deaths of the nearly 4,000 teenagers and young adults that were killed in Chicago. So I don't know if Black Lives really matter. I mean, do Black lives only matter when you're killed by a white police officer? That somehow or another, George Floyd, though his lynching there in Minneapolis in that gutter was horrendous, there's no doubt about that. We won't argue that at all. But I think that does George Floyd's life, is it greater than a 3-year-old sitting comfortably in her mama's back seat of a car, her head gets ripped open by a stray bullet shot by a young black man? Does not that life matter also? Does not that life deserve a march? What a beautiful young girl who was shot down in the park. Does not that life deserve a march? No, because Black Lives Matter only when it's killed by a white person. So I'm here to say to you, the change that's coming is worse than things have been in the past. So all of you protesters out there in the street, I want to say one other thing as well, is that I've noticed this, and I'll state this clearly, that CNN is at war with Tribulation Trump. They don't like him, and I don't blame them. I support them. I'm not going to send them any money, but I support them. They're at war with Tribulation Trump. Their purpose is to bring him down. And I'll tell you this, move all those television cameras away from these young people in Los Angeles, New York, and Washington. Move those television cameras and all that wall-to-wall, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week coverage. You won't see them coming out so red. They love being on television. They love they love to be seen. Many of them out there looking for husbands. And I don't mean to belittle their, you got a right to look for a husband in a march. You got a right to look for a wife in a march. You got a right to do that as well as march. I just want to let you know I'm not impressed. And I want you to know that God is not impressed. And I want you to know that history is not impressed. And I know that you don't know history. Many of you are too young to even realize the time of which I now speak regarding the change that Obama talked about. And it is if now that you're raising the issue of change with Black Lives Matter as if it's heard for the very first time. And nobody's ever heard that before. Oh, this is something new under the sun. Change! But no! Obama called for change. It's pathetic. 8 years in the presidency, and he did one, I suppose, significant thing. He did one noted thing, and he did one extraordinary thing. And let me count them to you. The significant thing that I think that he did was that he elevated Al Sharpton to be the heir apparent of Dr. Martin Luther King, knowing that he couldn't be that. Yeah, he elevated Al CI7, snitch, heroin dealer, still on the snitch report for the FBI against drugs being dealt by the Italians here in New York City. Al Tawana Brawley Sharpton, Obama elevated him to be the heir apparent of Dr. Martin Luther King. So you hit that. You call for someone to speak to the civil rights issue. It's Al Sharpton. He's now the man that's in charge. Went past Jesse and went past the others as well. The noted thing that he did was that he was able to convince Wall Street that a mumbo-jumbo, absolutely confusing issue of health care could be passed through the Senate and the Congress, and that people would be under some impression that they got health care. But Harlem Hospital didn't get better. And I don't know if you got better health care, because I keep hearing people talk about the coronavirus is killing more black people than it's killing anybody else. But if we had significant health care, if Obamacare had been a significant program, then the health care auspices that they give at Rockefeller Center would be as good as what they give up in the South Bronx on St. Anne's Avenue or Jacoby Hospital. No, that was no health care program. It was a job. It was a bamboozle job. Wall Street is not about to pay for the health care of black people. Do you understand that? Wall Street was not about to ditch out trillions of dollars to make sure that every black person that walks in America has got full and adequate Cadillac health care. No, you got to be out your mind if you think Wall Street is going to do that. So they put that Obama out there in front to bamboozle you as if you're getting health care. But I can guarantee you, you're going to go in the waiting room or you're going to apply, and you ain't gonna get what everybody else got. You're gonna die with your health care program. So that was another thing that he did. And the extraordinary thing he did was he was able to convince the Supreme Court with the appointing of 2 liberal female judges to pass a law against the word of God, same-sex marriage, and man can marry man and woman can marry woman. And this was also supported very strongly by the Jews and by Wall Street, that you would be able to bring man and man. Because here, let me tell you something. Can I tell you something about economics? Let me drop this one on you. You see that what was effectively happening with men not being married in terms of their work status and structure was not as well in terms of their performance, that a married man was more stable than an unmarried man. If he was hired by a major corporation, we spent several $1,000s training him for that position, but if he wasn't married, he might walk off the job. Getting married, he's more stable, and your investment in him is more secure. So therefore, Wall Street benefited from the same-sex marriage. Getting all these young people married, Wall Street benefits, the government benefits, society benefits. And so that was the extraordinary. But after that, he did nothing. I'm going to ask the engineer if he'll bring up a clip posted up by one of the major news networks where they actually a year ago lamented, and you won't believe me because you think I'm not credible, or that I'm a hater, or that I'm a racist, or that I'm a whatever. You're not going to believe me. But I'm going to let you listen to a major global news network do an interview and point out that Obama didn't do a damn thing, and people in Chicago and the world are waking up to it. But even now, people are trying to cover up the fact that Obama did nothing for the black man. He's the biggest disappointment that we've ever had in presidential history. So, Mr. Engineer, if you could please find that clip and let it rip for just a moment, if you will, please, sir.
But tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
Change? Really? Look at that crowd, everybody!
Victory speech
Look
from
at that
Chicago's
crowd.
Grant Park, President
I ain't got
Obama
nothing like that
is
today.
returning to his
Look at that
hometown.
crowd. Black Lives Matter ain't got nothing like
But
that.
some are giving him a cold welcome, saying his promise of hope and change never came.
We're not going to be saying thank you for the 8 years of work that he didn't do in the black communities.
Activist and former Obama supporter Jamal Green referring to the surge in violence in Chicago. Last year marked its deadliest year in nearly 2 decades, with 762 people murdered, nearly 4,000 people killed on the streets of Chicago during Obama's 8 years in the White House. One flashpoint, the 2014 deadly shooting of black teenager Laquan McDonald by police, which launched the largest investigation of a police department by the U.S. Department of Justice.
I would be embarrassed as the president to know that I've done really not much for the people that put me there.
I said in Grant Park when I was declared the winner of the presidency that this wasn't a task for 1 year or 1 term or even 1 president.
Oh, he's copping out now. What a cop out! What a cop out!
Some of his faithful supporters don't believe it's fair to blame the president for the city's violence.
Obama tried his best. He's only the president. He's not a dictator. He can't do what he want to do.
He was the president, man.
No better. We had a black president who served 2 terms, and with everything that he did for us, it's just a blessing.
Really?
It's a blessing.
Really?
I can't send the Marines in to Chicago, but it is heartbreaking. Chicago is the one big city where you've seen a big spike in the murder rate.
Which is why Jamal Green wishes the president would have done more.
He has neglected to talk about the starving communities. He's neglected to talk about the violence. He's neglected to talk about the lack of investment into urban communities. He's neglected to talk about police brutality, issues that are plaguing the black communities all over the country. And so we do feel neglected, and we felt like he could do more, and he could have possibly saved some lives.
Now, I talked to some people here in Chicago who believe that perhaps President Obama can do more for his hometown as a former president. They say that he's already doing more. For example, bringing the presidential library to the South Side, which will pump money and also jobs to that area. And Aaron, other people I talked to say they're just hoping for the president to speak bluntly about some of the issues plaguing the black community.
You know, Black Lives Matter. I'd like to rephrase that, because nearly 4,000 young people in Chicago lost their lives during the 8 years of Obama. He didn't march. Nobody marched. And now all of a sudden there's this massive marching over George Floyd, because his life only matters because he was killed by a white man. But if you get killed by a black man, your life ain't worth doo-doo. No, this, you know, I like to call Black Lives Matter, I label them as blaspheming lying monkeys is who they are. What? And by the way, did y'all see that crowd out there in Grant Park? Did y'all see how long Black Lives Matter, this George Floyd has not been able to produce a crowd, and that was just one of the many crowds of people. So I'm not impressed with what I see going on in the street, and it definitely ain't gonna bring about no change. But I'm glad that at least there are a few people like Brother Jamal Green who recognize Obama was a failure. But he was a failure. He was a failure that he didn't have to be. He didn't have to be a failure because he had the office of the presidency. And those are power levers that he could have pulled that could have helped the black man. But that was never his intent. I never heard Obama say anything, and I listened well, that ever seemed like he had any concern to help anybody that was black. But Wall Street, that's a different story. Yeah, it is absolutely a scream. So I was right years ago. And so there's some redemption, and I'm not here, as I said, to go a minute ago, to bury Obama. That's not why I'm here. I'm here maybe to resurrect some people. I was right. And for the past 13 years, I've been hated as a man that ain't black, that doesn't love the black people, that I didn't support the first black president. I was right. I was not only was I right that he wasn't going to do anything for black folk, but I was right spiritually about the fact nothing was going to come of him, and things were only going to get worse because of him, not as a result of him, but because of him. I was right. I don't know if I'm here to try to resurrect myself. You know, as Mark Anthony said, that we didn't come to bury Caesar, we came to praise him. In that great speech of the eulogy that Mark Anthony gave at the death of Julius Caesar. But I was right. He was not the first black president. If you consider what accomplishments he was able to level in the past 8 years as a black president, then you need to go and come again. Then you think less about black people than I do. I would think that there would have been at least some, you know, I've been recently teaching about the efficacy and the works of the likes of Booker T. Washington, who never was president. He was just a school teacher, principal, an orator. But the work that he did, what he did, and Marcus Garvey, I don't know if you know if he had an 8th grade education, he wasn't president, but gave birth to the Harlem Renaissance, gave birth to some of the greatest periods in Harlem as a community economic structure that the world has ever seen for black people. If he'd even done what Marcus Garvey, half of what Marcus Garvey did, then we could at least give him some juice. But no. And the other thing is that I think it's important that that he should not have denied his Kenyan heritage, and maybe that would have saved him. I believe there's something about the deposit. You know, I believe that Obama could have said clearly that, listen, I was born in Kenya. But I think that under the McCain Act, McCain born down in Panama Bay on the U.S. military soil in Panama, and as a result of that, when he ran for senator out in Arizona, Barry Goldwater and others raised the issue that he was not American born because his father was a military man. He was born in a military base in Panama, so he wasn't born on American soil. But because he was born to American parents, that made John McCain a citizen. I think Obama should have taken that. I think Obama, were it me, I would have taken that route. I would have said, wait a minute, I was born in Kenya, but I was born of American parents in Kenya. And the Constitution would have covered him on that one. But more than that, it would have connected Kenya. It would have connected his heritage. You ever notice how much I talk about North Carolina? It ain't not a little old Bodunk town with one stoplight. I do declare before God, maybe it's got 2 stoplights. I don't know, let me take that back. Only one. But you know how I was talking? It's my heritage. It's where I come from. It's who I am. It's who my forefathers were. It's where I drank my first water and ate my first bread in North Carolina. And notice how much I talk about prison. You would say, Pastor, why don't you stop talking about, everybody know you've been to prison, so what? No, it's my heritage. I can't deny who I am. Why did Obama deny who he was? I believe that he could have just stood up in Philadelphia and really given a speech on race, but said, first of all, I'm not going to deny Africa. Africa's been denied too long. The white established order has been able to set the parameters of the raising of the nations of Africa. And if I deny the fact that I was born on African soil, I deny Kenya and I deny Africa. I push it to the side as not worthy. No, I'm not going to deny my heritage. Now, y'all can reject me. You don't have to vote for me as president. You can reject me if you choose. But I'm not going to deny the fact that I was born in Kenya. I'm Kenyan. I got Kenyan blood. My grandmama birthed me. She was the one that gave birth to me. What's the name of that person that did? Midwife. She gave birth. I know I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to deny that the first hands that touched me were the hands of my grandmother as a midwife. I'm not going to say I was born in a phony hospital in Honolulu just to be the president. No, my heritage and my integrity is greater than the American citizenship. I'm a man of the world. I'm the law. Well, he couldn't say that. My integrity is greater than my American citizenship. My heritage, born in Kenya. He didn't say that. He denied it up and down Main Street. You know why? Because it didn't matter to him. He didn't give a damn about Kenya or his grandmama for that matter. So I think it's important. So we see all this marching going on in the street. Look at them. And they're only out there because the cameras out there. Take them cameras and see, by the way, CNN and MSC going to keep them cameras out there and keep them people marching as long as they can, because they know it is driving tribulation Trump up a tree to see all that marching going on. And as long as those cameras out there, those people are going to stay. They're going to keep on marching. They'll, I suppose, decide to dissolve shortly, soon enough. But Obama was a sellout. So, I mean, remember our first black president, we black people got to stick together. And they left me. They called me a false prophet, they said. And they sent arrows directly to my heart and knives to my back, so many so that there was the knives that were going into my back and the arrows into my heart over this Obama issue and his blackness and whether I was black or not. There were so many arrows that the arrows started hitting the arrows, and I kept standing. And so it is with some relief that I'm able to point out I was right. I was stomped down right. Not only was I right, but I was righteous. I was righteous! I was righteous! I'm saying that because there's a little bit of pain still in me. I don't want to let anybody think, well, we got to him. We really hurt him. We really got to him. It sounded like he's in pain. We got to him. We talked about him, said it was a false prophet, and said it wasn't a black man. I hear pain coming out. So we got, no! Don't go down that far. I mean, it's just justice. I'm a Johnny Cochran. If the glove don't fit, you must have quit. I don't think that somehow or another that, I'm the Lord's servant. But no, I was right. That's one other thing, and I promise not to inflict myself upon you any further. That is this, is that talking about change? Oh no. I told you the one thing that Obama did that was significant was he appointed Al Shady, CI7 snitch, drug dealing Sharpton, no reading the teleprompter Sharpton as the heir apparent of Dr. King. I watched the funeral of George Floyd and Al Sharpton delivering his eulogies and everybody talking about he's our man for the hour. Call him when you got trouble. But you know, Al don't want change either. That's all of a sudden, by some miracle, that young black men stopped getting shot down in the streets. There's a year when goes by, there's nobody dead, there's been no funerals. Al didn't get any money. Al is out of a damn job. Al don't want you to kill some more of them, Al says in private, to pay for that $13,000 a month apartment he has down on 72nd Street. No, and Ben Crump too. No, when the city of Minneapolis settles with the George Floyd family for the millions of dollars that they're going to get, Ben Crump going to get 25% of that. That's right. Ben Crump going to get millions, and Al going to get millions too. No, they don't want this to heal. Hell no. They don't want change. They pray that a cop shoot somebody, we'll give him time to bury George Floyd and get that out the way. Then shoot another one. Shoot another one, Al says. Ben Crump says, shoot another one. Yeah, because that's where they earn their living. You know, it's like the Iceman. You're selling ice and they built refrigerators. Now, if you build a program economically, spiritually, where the black man is no longer buying ice, but he's got a refrigerator, Crump and Sharpton and all that race-baiting crowd lose their jobs, and they'll be applying for unemployment in a way. So it's important that we understand that don't get carried away by all this marching in the street. First of all, most of these people don't even know anything about anything. They were too young to know who Obama was. But one thing I said about Obama today, he probably feels like committing suicide because he realized that he failed. You know, if he had succeeded, they wouldn't be in the streets. If he had succeeded, they wouldn't be using the mantra of change. If he had succeeded, if he had done what he promised to do in all those campaign speeches, this event would be a non-starter. We wouldn't know about it. There'd be nothing about it. We just said America would be one place where the black man has finally reached a utopian aspect of equality. Obama didn't do that. Didn't do anything like it. Didn't do anything like it. The thing that we got to do now is look at all these people who keep promoting him as if somehow or another he accomplished something. He accomplished nothing. What did he do? What did he do? What did he do for you? What did he do? What did he do? Same-sex marriage? All right. All right. Al Sharpton, the heir apparent of Martin Luther King? All right. What did he do? Food stamps? Is that what he did? No, there's nothing in his repertoire of things that he did, and you definitely don't have health care. So our plight, if you will, allow me to unite with the Hamite brothers who are calling themselves African American at the moment, and pain is nothing more than an opportunity for the pinch-nosed Negroes. Here it is. You can look at it this way. The average Negro on the street, and it really doesn't matter if he's, whether he's on welfare, whether he's got a home, or whether he lives in the homelessness, or if he's not a part of the Ivy League pinch-nosed Negro class, he's a customer for the pinch-nosed Negro. What do you mean by that? Let me tell you what I mean by that. I just explained it to you for your mom's self. You see, the house Negro, the pinch-nosed Negroes, the Cornel West, Eddie Glauds of the world, the Sharptons of the world, the Ben Crumps of the world, the Ben Jealous of the world, the Liz Gunderson of the world, all that crowd, all of them pinch-nosed Negroes, that the poor suffering Negro, and even some of the bourgeoisie Negroes, that we're their clients. They represent us. Oh, yeah. Not only Al Sharpton has found out how to shake this tree, but, Eddie Glauds learned how to shake it too. Cornel West. They go and represent us. Well, what are we going to do? Oh, look how awful that was. That was the ugliest thing I've ever seen in all my life. The way that police officer choked that man out there. That was murder, no doubt about it. What we gonna do as white people? We got to do something. They killed Breonna Taylor right there in her bedroom, post no-knock police, goes in and shoots the woman. What we gonna do? Ahmaud Arbery jogging down the street, shot by two men in a shotgun who look like typical rednecks. I swear to God, just could convict them on the way they look. What we gonna do? Where we gonna stop? It's the year 2020, and we're 150 to nearly 200 years post-slavery, and still the black man is at the bottom. He's at the bottom of the totem pole. He's lower than the Hispanics. He's lower than the Asians. He's lower than the Chinese. He has less unemployment. He dies earlier. He fills up the jails. What we gonna do to raise the black man? It's been 170 years since slavery. What we gonna do? We white people. What we good white people? What we good-hearted? No racist bone in my body. Some of my best friends are black. What we gonna do to help the black man? Call Cornel West. Oh, well, he's a Negro. Call Eddie Glaude. Oh, call Ben Jealous. Oh, call Liz Gunderson here. Call them in, and y'all please tell us what to do. Y'all please, because we want to stop the suffering. It's been too many years that the black man is suffering. What we gonna do? Can y'all, Liz Gunderson, can you tell me what to do? Cornel West, and by the way, I'm calling their name, but there are a whole bunch of others. There's a whole list of them. House Negroes. I call them pensioners, those Negroes. So they get on the camera, the television, here they go, they talk just like the white man. And the white people are very comfortable with them. Don Lemon. They're very comfortable with them because they know they're not going to say anything. They ain't going to say anything that sounds like truth. And the truth that they're going to tell is that the black man is his own problem. He needs to check himself out. He needs to look at, this is a blaspheming lying monkeys called Black Lives Matter. They didn't march for that young girl that was shot down in the park. These Black Lives Matter monkeys, they didn't march for that young girl that was shot down in her mama's backseat car seat. They didn't march for the 4,000 young black men that were shot down, 30 and 40 and 50 of them on a weekend in Chicago at Dallas. They didn't hold one damn march. What a lie! What a lie! You're blaspheming, lying monkeys. You're not Black Lives Matter. What a lie! Now you got white people talking about Black Lives Matter. Hey, I've never seen anything like it. Black Lives Matter don't even matter to black people. Why should they matter to police officers? And that's the truth. You ain't gonna hear nobody say nothing like that. No, not these house Negroes. We're their clients. Well, I'm not. But, they represent you. That's what they call. And some of the politicians as well. They call them. I think that it's important that we understand something about the psyche of the pensioners Negro. He is living good. He's got a seat at Harvard, or he is a teacher and a professor at Princeton, or Michael Eric Dyson, he's got a seat at Georgetown. These boys are living good, living around white people. They're becoming in contact with black people. They have a couple of black students every night. They're living good. $250,000 a year salary, housing allowances. These boys are living good. They hope black people keep doing bad, so they'll keep being called. It's like the doctor makes everybody well, and he ain't gonna have no patience. Somebody got to get sick somewhere, So these boys, and Michael Eric Dyson, I haven't named him, but he's another one. Yes. We're their clients. Y'all are not me. And then the other thing is that Obama has done, he's made same-sex marriage the order of the day. So right now, out on our announcement board, I've got this statement out there: if Malcolm, Mandela, and Martin, the 3 M's, were alive today, these LGBTQ people will call them hate preachers. That's right. They would. They say Malcolm is a hate preacher, because there ain't no way in hell Malcolm X is going to ever stand and watch two Muslim men marry one another. I don't care whatever else happens. That ain't going to happen. No, sir. And Nelson Mandela, you better not talk about, they will actually arrest you and kill you in most African nations. If you even talk about, you get caught kissing another man, that's a death sentence. Mandela was a Zulu. No, There ain't no way the Zulus would allow Nelson Mandela to change the Congress of South Africa into same-sex marriages or support anybody that brings it. No, he wouldn't do it either. Martin King wrote an article in 1964 and then touted Ebony magazine that homosexuality was a psychological disorder. And not just that. So all of these people these young people who don't know Malcolm, they don't know Mandela, they don't know Martin. These people in the street, they heard about them, they don't know them. They've read about them and they've exalted them. But if Martin, Mandela, and Malcolm had an opportunity to speak today, they would condemn this blasphemous man with me. They'd condemn it in the strongest terms. And they'd be running for cover, all these little white girls, these little white boys, these little sissy white black boys, and they'd be running, these black girls sucking on another woman's titties. They'd be running for cover for Malcolm. They'd be running for cover for Mandela. They'd be running for cover from three of the men that many of you in historically account as some of the greatest leaders of the Negro people. They'd condemn you. They would. They're not here, but I am. And I think there's one other thing that we need to be mindful of as well, that Black Lives Matter. Some of y'all don't remember, and I don't know, obviously, today I was trying to figure out, where'd y'all go to school, most of y'all? Because you don't seem like you have very much of an education. You didn't have to live in this period, but my God, who educated y'all? Because, Dr. King ousted Rap Brown. Burn, baby, burn. Remember Rap? Remember that? You see the Black Lives Matter out there now. Hell, you ain't the first one that did that. Burn, baby, burn. Rap Brown, dark sunglasses and a beret on. Burn, baby, burn. And then here comes Stokely Carmichael. They were partners in crime. Black power, Gower. That clenched fist, that comes from 50, 60 years ago. Y'all out there in the street now think you're something. It's a damn joke. But Martin King said, no, we ain't gonna burn, baby, burn. They tried to get Carmichael, Stokely Carmichael, to unite his SNAP movement, a SNCC movement with Dr. King. And King said, no, it's going to be nonviolent. And I'm not a nonviolent man myself. I don't care what you say. I believe in an eye for an eye. And I believe if you take my eye, I'm going to take your eye and your ear. But that's me. But King was nonviolent. And Rap Brown was burn, baby. Rap Brown was the first one who chanted, burn the neighborhood down. Burn it down. Burn, baby, burn. It's powerful. White folk, Dick Cavett, Ed Sullivan, they didn't know what the hell to do with these boys. Black power! That clenched fist, then they put a black glove on it. And then a whole lot of them two of them got up. Colin Kaepernick, maybe you ought to add that black power thing here, but he and Rap Brown, then 4 or 5 of them did it. Next thing you know, you got a group called the damn Black Panthers. Oh my God, Lord have mercy. A panther. You know what a panther is? I grew up in Panthers Ford, North Carolina. Panthers are particularly acute to North Carolina wildlife. Michael Jordan played for the North Carolina Panthers at Duke University. The Panthers, they're black, they're sleek, they're not as big as lions. They're a little smaller, but they're more agile, they're faster, and they're quick. And because they're always a jet black. You've never seen a white panther. You've never seen a black panther with one white hair on them. These panthers, they're still. Cats have beautiful moves anyway. If you ever see a cat move, they are extraordinary. And a panther, they can pause so that they just disappear until the prey thinks they're gone. And then they pounce. And there's a group that rose up in America, in Chicago, Obama's territory, called the Black Panthers. And that was a vicious name, more vicious. I'd rather deal with lions in Africa and tigers in India than deal with a Black Panther. But I grew up with them in North Carolina. In fact, I grew up in a town that these white boys named Panthers Ford, North Carolina. And because they were so vicious, the Duke University named their basketball team the North Carolina Panthers. But King rejected all of that. And he would reject Black Lives Matter, or blaspheming lying monkeys today. He would reject them. Ain't no doubt about it. Nah, he wouldn't. And he would reject Beyonce. Can you imagine Malcolm approving of Beyonce, shaking her booty and grabbing her twat? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine Malcolm approving that? Or Mandela approving that and JC fanning it like it's on fire? Hey boys, my wife's stuff is burning up. Fanning that stuff for her. She got her legs gapped over, he fanning it. Can you imagine Malcolm and Mandela and Martin approving of that to where you people have sank as a people, calling yourselves black? Sick. You ought to be put in jail for the rest of your lives. Never allowed to go out on your woman and you're up there fanning with a fan over her, you know what? The whole world can see when you got it gap wide open and you fanning it. What level of debauchery have you people fallen? What hole have y'all fallen into? Now you want to get out in the street and march, talking about your life is important. Never seen anything like y'all. This LGBT stuff is the sickest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's sick. It's sick. You are a social piranha. You are a despicable person. These LGBTQ freaks. You're hated by God. Fred Phelps was right. Yes, he was. He used to put those signs out there about who God hates. He was right out there in Indiana. No, it is a despicable behavior, lifestyle. And Obama has lifted it up out of the toilet and put a crown on it and set it in the king's chair and said, all of us go down and worship except me. I don't go down that way. I'm going to through with y'all. But I have to tell you that, because you say, well, Pastor Manny, you're railing off all these truths. What's your answer? I'm glad you asked. What's your remedy? I'm so glad you asked. I don't know if you're going to listen, but I'm glad you asked. So I was right. Imagine this. Imagine this, right? Change is what we can believe in. Yes, we can. 250,000 Germans who didn't even speak English came to see Obama in Dusseldorf. In Grant Park on the night of his winning the election, all of Chicago was filled. You ain't never seen no crowds like that before. You've never seen any people, crowds like that. 20,000 with Oprah Winfrey. He was just getting started. 20,000 down in Miami. And everywhere he went, crowds. Tribulation Trump was a big jealous because he had the biggest inaugural crowd. He was larger than Farrakhan's Million Man March, Obama's inauguration day crowd. Y'all people in the march in the street now, I'm not impressed. You got to go and come again. That little crowd y'all got out there, I'm not impressed with that. But I want you to think about something for just a second. And this might be a bit redemptive for some of you and a bit of a resurrection for me, and I'll take that. Imagine this, that I had the courage to stand over against 40 million black people. I had the courage to stand with my chin up and my shoulders back. But not just that, to stand against all of Africa. And all the kings and leaders in Africa were calling me a traitor and calling Obama the black emperor. I had the courage to stand against the Caribbean. They called Obama the black emperor. And me alone here in Harlem all by myself. But I stood. And then millions upon millions of Japheth people, millions of them. Change is going to come for the black people because they got a black president. And I stood up. I held my head up. I held my head up high. I kept my shoulders back. Imagine the courage it takes when you've got the weight of the world coming and everybody in the world is against you. Imagine. And all you got to do is just agree with the world and everything's hunky-dory. But I stood. And when he was elected and went on and it seemed to have gotten worse and people deserted, I I stood. I don't know many people who've been there. I know Toussaint Louverture has been there. I'll say this. I would say that Muhammad Ali was there, but Muhammad Ali had a whole lot of people with him. I didn't have nobody with me. Can you imagine what it was like for me to get up in the mornings and then go to bed at night, or get out on the street, go on to get in my car, and I look at the black people walk by? Can you imagine? Millions of people, the first black president, the emperor, the black messiah, and their opinions, their aspirations are all against me. They have one wish, is that I would die. But I stood. I'm trying to draw you in. I know it's a bit dramatic, but I mean to emphasize the point. I want you to know what I've gone through over the past 13 years. I want you to hear me. I want you to feel my pain. I want you to know, let you know I ain't no damn body's boy. If I could stand that, I stood up against that. I want you to know that. I don't know many men that could, but I did. No, I did. And I'm going to keep on standing. I'm standing now because I'm the Lord's servant. That's why I stand. I don't stand with my own strength. I'm standing on the word of God. I stood because God spoke to me. That's why I stood. I didn't stand because I'm better than you. I stood because I'm the Lord's servant. But I don't want you to ever forget that. Next time you see me coming, whatever you may think about me, or whatever I might say, wherever you may go, or wherever you see, where you're digging in another man's butthole or not, and eating his feces and kissing it, whatever you may think about, and understand something, it's going to be a long day in eternity before you can ever be the man that I am. You ever be the man? Ever! Stand the way I stood. And I'm still standing. I'm still standing. Yes, I am. So there's an answer. And I've got ATLAH. I'm standing and waiting on God's prophecy of ATLAH. Now, you'll have to tune in at another time if you want to hear more about that. But right now, I got to shut things down. I've reached the max of my time tonight. And I think we've made the point. I don't want to drown you with information about ATLAH, but it's a plan. It is a plan. But I can tell you this. Things are not going to get better because of this marching in the street. The worst is yet to come. And let me close with this. I'm praying for you, the coronavirus. Don't let these freaky Japheth people running around here and these Tribulation Trump people running around here, walking around with no mask and going to the beach and, having and doing all that stuff as they're going back to normal. Things are not normal. And they're not going to be normal health-wise for a long time. And I love for you to be around. But you fool around here and take that mask off, you're going to die. That disease is out there. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. I'm praying for you. In fact, I'm going to pray for you right now. I thank you all for taking the time to listen to me tonight. I didn't mean to, but time is winding up. I'm going to now ask all of us that are present to get on our knees and pray for a few moments. We call this time the period of hit the deck. That's what we're going to do. Wherever, if you're at home, if you can possibly get on your knees, don't just stand and pray. Don't sit and pray. Get out your wheelchair and pray. Everybody hit the deck. I'm going to get down here in just a moment. I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to come up and have some closing remarks. Thank y'all so very much. Let's pray, everybody. Let's pray. Don't leave me now. Don't shut down. Let's pray. You need to pray. MC Hammer said, you need to pray just to make it through the day. All right, praise God. Thank God for the prayer time. And we are encourage everybody to exercise your opportunity to be blessed through the tithe and the offering. It's up to yourself. The Lord said you give your tithes and offerings, that he'd open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing so much so you won't have room enough to receive. Our present reading in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 7 through 13 says, bring the first fruit offering and your barns will burst open with plenty. You'll have it going on. You can stop that business of living from paycheck to paycheck. You can start living a prosperous and a very powerful life through the tithe. Go ahead. Go ahead and do it. Even a sinner like you, some of y'all, not all y'all, but some of y'all, God will bless you. He'll honor his word. You tithe and you get that first fruit offering. Well, your barns will burst open with plenty, and you'll have so many blessings you don't have room enough to put you don't have enough room in your house. You'll have to keep getting bigger houses till you finally just give up and quit. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm just telling you what the Word of God says. He'll pour you out a blessing so much so you won't have room enough to receive it. And by the way, thank all of y'all for giving. Thank you, Goldfinger, for the gifts that Goldfinger sings. What a blessing. By the way, we got another shipment of computers in, so all y'all that are on the list of the second go-round of computers, they came in today. Thank God for that. And thank God for the house, and thank y'all for sharing with me as much as you possibly can. And thank God for all of you who have shared with me and stayed with me throughout those tumultuous years we just outlined a few moments ago. At any rate, everybody, I'm James Emmett Manning. I'm the Lord's servant. And to you out there, peace out.